is I want to talk about Toastmasters in general and why you might want to consider joining Toastmasters. Toastmasters International is a non-profit educational organization that teaches public speaking and leadership skills through a worldwide network of clubs. Translated, it's where people can find their voice. Headquartered in Englewood, Colorado, the organization's membership exceeds 357,000 people in more than 16,600 clubs in 143 countries. The Hilltoppers Club here was chartered on February 1st of 1961, which was long before most of you were born. That's how long this club has been around. Since 1924, since 1924, Toastmasters International has helped people from diverse backgrounds become more competent speakers, communicators, and leaders. And talking about the leadership aspect, most people think of joining Toastmasters to be able to speak in public better or gain more confidence in speaking. But you'd be surprised at the leadership skills that are a side benefit of this. The leadership skills led to my being promoted and transferred and opening a sales office for a company that I worked for back with my first go-around after only 18 months in Toastmasters. And there is a young lady who's an HR manager from a major bank up in Huntsville, Alabama, who came across a survey that was conducted by Kent University, and the survey was from human resource managers to list the top qualities that they look for when hiring a management trainee. And what we found, they listed the top 10, and Toastmasters answered 8 of the top 10. And I could argue for a 9th one. The only one that did not answer was self-motivation. Obviously, you have self-motivation if you're joining Toastmasters because it's a self-improvement type of course. Tonight, we want to give you a look at inside a typical club meeting. And whether you notice or not, the club meeting actually consists of 2 parts. The first part of the meeting is the business portion, which is typically pretty short because most of the business is conducted by the club outside of, or by the officers outside of the club meeting itself. But we still gather and talk about new things and pending issues and so on. It's a very short part of the meeting. The second part of the meeting is the educational part, and that is where the training comes in and the learning. The educational part consists of 3 segments. The first is a prepared speech or speeches, anywhere from 1 to 3 speeches, that are made up of the agenda. When you join Toastmasters, you are given a pathway to follow, or you select a pathway to follow, and there are materials that go with that. It's an online training that's complemented by club speeches and club meetings. It's an agenda. It's a formal agenda, but it's also self-paced, so you can do this at your own speed. So again, the first part of the meeting is the prepared speeches. The second part of the meeting is called table topics. And we have a table topics master who will get up and throw out questions for people to answer, and you have 1 to 2 minutes to answer that question. The purpose of that is to make you better skilled at speaking off the cuff, because in life you spend more time speaking off the cuff than you do in making prepared speeches. A few more people coming in. That's good. Sorry. And the third part of the meeting is the evaluation of the first 2 parts of the meeting and the overall meeting itself. To conduct that part, I want to begin by introducing our general evaluator for the evening. It's Cody Broussard. And Cody, if you would, go ahead and explain what the role of the general evaluator is.
Yeah, sure. So the general evaluator evaluates the meeting as a whole. So I'll kind of go over how I felt the meeting acted, and then I'll introduce our other evaluators, such as the timer and the grammarian and our evaluator of the speech. So that's the general evaluator role.
Thank you. We also have a timer for the day. The prepared speeches are timed, typically in a 5 to 7 minute range, and the table topics are timed. And our timer this evening is Diego. Would you please explain the timer's role?
The timer is focused on reminding speakers to not only communicate their ideas very well, but also in a succinct manner. Tonight's meeting speech, I believe, ranges from 3 to 5 minutes.
It's 5 to 7?
5 to 7. 5 to 7, I apologize. So the green light will be at the 5-minute mark, 6-minute mark is yellow, red is the final indication, and it is expected for speakers to wrap up within 30 seconds once the red light is on. For the table topics portion of our meeting, like Tom mentioned, it's between 1 to 2 minutes. That is the recommended time that someone should speak under table topics conditions. Back to you.
Thank you, Diego. We also have a grammarian for the evening, and our grammarian is Olivia. Would you please explain the grammarian's role?
Hi, my name is Olivia, and the role of grammarian is I listen to the speeches as they come up to the lectern, and I listen for any misuse of of the English language. So if you just listen for any kind of grammatical errors. That's what I do, and I record those, and at the end, I will give that report.
And then we also have an counter for the evening, that is Sean. Sean, would you please explain your role?
Yes, so I will be looking for filler words such as so, and just keeping account of those.
Thank you, Sean. The interesting thing about that is once you do this, you'll start picking up on hearing people making those mistakes. It just drives me crazy sometimes when you hear someone who's supposed to be well-educated and well-versed and will stand up there and say before every sentence. Or if you listen to a sports interview on TV, the athletes, and then they talk about what they want to say. It drives me crazy. But it's a side effect from having learned this. It can be annoying sometimes. So that is the evaluation part. And the evaluation is really the key to Toastmaster success. This is a learning environment, and nothing is expected to be perfect. This is where you learn to be better. And this is more of a support group than it is a club or an official, although we're an official club, but we are a support group to help each other. That's the purpose of why we're here. So I want to go ahead and move into the prepared speech portion. Thank you. Olivia reminded me that we do have a word of the day. As grammarian, would you please give us the word of the day and the definition?
The word of the day is merrythought, and it's actually a noun, and it's the wishbone of a bird. So to use it in a sentence, I found this in a Cook and Housekeeper's Complete and Universal Dictionary. It is a British word, and the wings must be taken off in the line A and B, and the merrythought in the line C, D. The word merrythought definition is wishbone of a bird.
I want to know where you got the dictionary. Because you only learned the word 10 minutes ago. Very good. Merry thought. We all have merry thoughts, and I wish you merry thoughts, but I think I'll save the merry thought until Thanksgiving. Thank you, Olivia. So moving now into our prepared speech portion, we have one speech tonight for demonstration purposes. And up until about a year ago, I knew of this speaker, but I really didn't know this particular speaker. I heard his name, heard a little bit about him, but really didn't know him very well. Then I joined the club about a year ago, and since then I've gotten to know him very well and can truly say that it's a tremendous honor to count him as a friend. He is a blessing in my life, and because of this person, because of the person that he is and the leadership that he exemplifies. The interesting thing for me is that this will be the first time in the year that I've ever heard him give a prepared speech. Because typically when we need someone to fill in, he will stand up here and say, okay, somebody give me a topic, and somebody will throw out a topic, and he'll talk for 5 to 7 minutes on that topic. That's how well educated and how smart this man is. Usually he's giving an impromptu speech on a topic that, as I said, other club members give him. His speech tonight is from the Motivational Strategies Pathway. I believe speech number 19, did I see on there?
It's it's considered as a an elective speech.
Okay. And is intended to inspire his audience. The title of his speech is "You Can Do It." Please help give a warm welcome to Lawrence Crumpton.
I might not be Professor Merrythought, but I very definitely want to be a success. Now, being a success means different things for different people. But myself, being of a certain age, I'm past the point where I'm worried about being a success by accumulating money and things. So I have a totally different look at what is success. So to me, success is going to be in my relationships with other people, and it's going to be in my relationship with myself, which many people might think of as being a relationship with the God inside myself, or however you want to look at it. But there are many different types of success. My fellow Toastmasters, most honored guests, does anyone here want to be a success? Only one. Oh, there's two. Oh, yeah, okay. There's a few people in here who want to be a success. But let me give you a very important secret here. You can do it. It's really not that hard to be a success. But one of the first things that you need to do is you need to find other people to help you out. You can never be a success alone. It won't ever happen. Because there's always someone behind you, or next to you, or in front of you who is working with you, or mentoring you, or inspiring you, even if they don't know you. All those people, those various different people, they bring you to success. But that's not the only thing that you need. You also need some kind of a plan. Well, we all can develop plans. We all have ideas. But how do we bring those ideas from ourselves to those people around us who we want to help us? The key to getting people to help you is going to be to inspire them. You want to inspire people. You want to make them feel the joy, the excitement that you feel about your own success. And you know what? You can do it. You can do it very easily. Now, how do you inspire people? You inspire people with communication. If you can communicate your dream, other people will see it. If you can communicate your own inspiration, other people will feel it. So you want to learn how to communicate your feelings, how to communicate your dreams, your hopes, your aspirations. Once again, you can do it. It's not that hard. You don't have to go to the dictionary and study the dictionary for all the fancy words. You don't need to have a higher education. All you need to have is the desire to communicate and the willingness to keep trying to communicate. And eventually, you will learn how to communicate. Now, there are different aspects of communication. Obviously, you can have communication on a very plain level. Oh, how's the weather today? Oh, the weather's nice today. So nice of you to ask. You know, this is a very plain conversation, but it is communication. It is creating a bond or a connection with people. But there really needs to be a little bit more than that if you're going to inspire people, if you're going to relate your feelings to people. So now you have to communicate a deeper thought. And you can do that. It's not that hard. If you really look at how you feel, and you're able to go to people and try to present them with an inspiration, and then show them how that inspiration is going to help other people and is going to help you, and is especially going to help them, those people will be glad to be following you. So, my fellow Toastmasters, it's really important that we learn to communicate. That's why many of the people who are here came to Toastmasters, to learn how to communicate. The key to everything is communication. So I highly recommend, no matter how you do it, that you learn to communicate your thoughts, communicate your feelings, your hopes, your dreams, your desires, so that you can have a beautiful life with beautiful people. My fellow Toastmasters, it's absolutely true. You can do it. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Lawrence. Excellent speech, excellent talk. Our next portion of the evening is called Table Topics. And as I mentioned earlier, Table Topics is a situation in which you speak impromptu, which you spend more time of your life doing than you do in a prepared speech. I know and I've told members of the club, we have a young lady in one of our clubs on the Mississippi Gulf Coast that works at Hancock Bank in the legal department and has absolutely no problem standing in front of a room full of lawyers for 3 hours giving a talk. But put her in a cocktail party situation or a casual situation with these lawyers, and she doesn't have the confidence, at least she didn't have the confidence to express her ideas and give her thoughts. And that's why she joined Toastmasters. And now she has no problem at all. She does it regularly, from what I understand. So it's a skill worth learning. Our Table Topics master this evening is Justin Gish. Please help welcome Justin.
Thanks, Tom. Fellow Toastmasters guests, I'll be providing 3 table topics, which the member or a guest, if you would like to participate, will do an impromptu speech, just 1 to 2 minutes in length. And the tricky part about this is you basically get the topic right as you're walking up, so you have to, on the fly, develop your thoughts, develop what you're going to say. But it's very brief, and one of the strategies is to do a little filler talking while you're transitioning into your speech so you can gather your thoughts. Of course, in the better time, I could just jump right into it, but I had to spend more time thinking that. So we'll do it the hard way. I'll ask for a volunteer, and then we'll hand out the topics since you don't get the cherry pick. Can I have a volunteer? All right. What's your name?
Tyler.
Say
It's like Tyler, but with a name.
Interesting. I've never run across that before. What's the most sensible thing you've ever heard someone say?
Could I come up?
Yes, come on up.
Most sensible thing I've ever heard someone say. That's a really tough one because I've heard a lot of sensible things, especially lately. I recently applied for a new job, so you get tons of wanted and unwanted advice. People are like, oh, well, you should do this, or oh, well, you should bang this way, or you should do that, or present yourself like this. And you're like, okay, well, that's not me, but maybe I'll give that a shot. You know, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But I think maybe the most sensible thing I've ever heard someone say was someone point out to me, and this kind of goes with what Lawrence was saying, is that communication is the key. There's a film, it's called The Waking Life, and in the opening of the film, there's these 2 people talking, and they're saying that how people, communication is so important. Like, what we feel is so vague and so complicated that, we have these approximations to get these things across. We call them words. And the more we can use and the better we can get at, articulating these words and, communicating like Lawrence was saying, the quicker we can connect with each other, the better we can work together. I think that's probably the most sensible thing I've ever heard.
volunteer, please. All right, Cody. What activities make you lose track of time?
Thank you, Jeff. So activities that have made me lose track of time have changed over the years. So when I was younger, I could go outside and play with my brother and my friends, and we ride bikes or make up games together. We lose track of time, and hear our parents, "Hey, come back inside, it's time for dinner." So like the whole day went by, and we had a blast. And as I got older, I started playing video games, and this is a hobby, if anybody's played before, that you can lose a lot of track of time. Say, okay, I'm just going to play for an hour, and I'm going to do my homework or whatever, and then 3 hours go by, and you didn't do your homework, and maybe make a bad grade on a test or something. So, and currently, I started learning how to code, and this is, for me, gives me the ability to kind of get into that flow state of work. If no one's bothering me, I can sit down and solving a problem. So I can lose track of time if the problem's interested, or I'm working to build something that I want to see in the world. And these are a few activities as I evolve that make me lose track of time. So thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
I don't believe you ever failed to do your homework, though. Can I have another volunteer, please? All right. What life lesson did you learn the hard way?
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guest, I've been asked the question is what lesson in life I've learned the hard way. When I was a young engineer working, and I'd been out of school for about a year or two, some things didn't work out for me, and I was let go from my company. And it was a difficult thing. I think I made a bigger deal out of it than it really was. I think it could have been, I kind of just made something that was small and made it so much bigger. And I knew that things were going to work out. There was other opportunities out there. So I would say that my lesson I learned the hard way was not taking life so seriously sometimes, and just knowing that things will work out for you if you keep a good upbeat attitude. Mr. Tabletop.
Thank you. We've all been there. You just have to maintain a good outlook on it. Well, we're limiting this to just 3 topics for tonight, so I'll turn the meeting back over to the Toastmaster. Tom.
This gives you an idea of what table topics is like, and typically what we would do is ask any person who has not had another role to participate in table topics so that everybody gets a chance. So we wanted to limit it tonight because this is really more of a demonstration. One thing I have to comment on, I'm always the one, the look on your face when you got up, it was like instant regret for volunteering. But you did a great job. It was really, really good. But I know that feeling. I can relate to that feeling very, very easily. So that ends the table topic session. We're going to go ahead and move into the third part of the meeting, which is the evaluation portion of the meeting. And that will be handled by our general evaluator, Cody Broussard.
Cody, thank you, Tom. So I'm going to hold my evaluation off to the end. So I'd like to welcome our evaluator, Cheyenne, who's going to evaluate Lawrence's great speech.
Hello, Toastmasters, honored guests. I have the privilege of evaluating Mr. Lawrence's speech tonight. You can do it. So it's a challenge to evaluate Lawrence's speeches because they're so great. So you kind of have to stretch to find what you can improve on, because that content is scarcely there because you do such a great job. So thank you for that. So I'll just start off, for those of you who have not heard an evaluation before, we have a scale of 5 to 1, but 5 to 1 does not mean 5 is good and 1 is bad. Just an example for the first one that I'll be speaking on is clarity. Clarity for number 5 is the highest. To say exemplary public speaking who is always understood. 4, excels at communicating using the spoken word. 3, spoken language is clear and easily understood. 2, spoken language is somewhat unclear and challenging to understand. Or 1, spoken language is unclear or not easily understood. That was a bad example. Usually they're not 5 good, 1 bad. But just to give you an example, if it is a lower number, it does not mean it was bad. So with this speech, for the clarity, I gave you a 4, but you're always understood and very effective with getting your points across and what you're saying in your message. Vocal variety, you did a great job. You used a higher tone of voice to indicate points. When you were giving us your key points, you said use communication and spoke up, so that was very helpful. I think you did a great job with the eye contact. I actually watched for this to see if you just do the cheat and scan around the room, but I saw that you were looking at each person and you would look at them until they looked back and then you would move on, just to acknowledge and engage. So I thought that was really good. I thought your gestures were also very good. Usually just kind of use this as a crutch to wave about, but you were very purposeful in indicating a point with the gestures. When I said others and myself, or one of the, when you said Toastmasters or guests, so I thought that was very good to kind of let it be emphasis on the points you were saying. And then I gave you a 3/4 for interesting, because you really felt that you believed in what you were saying and you believed in us as you were speaking about it. So, and then for engagement, I'm going to give you a 5. I thought it was really awesome that when you asked who wants to be successful and then only one person raised your hand, some people may get offended by that, like, oh, no one's listening, but you're like, oh, only one, and it kind of brought us back in, like, oh, something's happening. So I thought it was good to like kind of reel everybody back in. It's at the beginning of the speech, you're still kind of wrapping up whatever you were doing before you start listening. So I thought that was great. And for my excelled at, the gestures were better than the last speech that I evaluated for you. Like I said, not just using them freely, but they were very purposeful and intentional in emphasizing your point. You may want to work on, like I said, it's kind of a stretch to pull something from that. So I don't really have anything for you there, but to challenge yourself, I don't know if it would go too off topic with the you can do it, but maybe a couple of examples of the unsuccessful, like if you don't try these things, this is where it could go astray. So we want to keep you doing this so you don't have this outcome. So that was maybe one thing. I think you did very good for the 5 to 7 minutes. That may have added some unnecessary time, taken away from your points, but that was just one thing I thought. So that is my evaluation of Mr. Lawrence's speech. You can do it.
Cheyenne. All right, great evaluation, Cheyenne. Thank you for that. I think Lawrence appreciated it too. It's very detailed and some stuff you can take away from it. Now we're going to go to our other evaluations. Diego, can you give us our timers report, please?
Certainly. Lawrence's speech was 6 minutes and 28 seconds. For the table topics, Kyler spoke for 1 minute and 13 seconds. Cody spoke for 1 minute and 14 seconds. Sean spoke for 1 minute and 5 seconds. And then finally, Cheyenne's evaluation lasted 4 minutes and 16 seconds.
Thank you, Diego. Olivia, can we hear the grammarian's report?
I listened to all speeches and evaluations, and I'm happy to report that I didn't hit any grammar errors at all. It was actually used 3 times by Tom, like right back to back. So that was awesome. You just got them all in there. And then Lawrence, you used it once.
Thank you, Olivia. Now for the general evaluation of the meeting, so I'm going to criticize myself a little bit. We started a minute late. Sorry about that. And I also, so for your guests, you're not supposed to leave the lectern unattended. So I left and I, oh, we had them separated. Okay. Who's the all-cam?
I am.
All right, Sean, sorry about that.
It's okay. The Oz, the ah count for tonight. Tom had one ah. Cody, I did not notice any filler words for you. Lawrence, I didn't notice any filler words for you. Cheyenne had 11 ahs and 1 so. Justin, no filler words noticed. Kyler, I noticed 3 ahs and 5 ums and 3 you knows. Cody, on the second table topics, I noticed 3 so's and 6 you knows. And then for my table topics, 1 ah and 1 so. That's the ah count.
Thank you, Sean. So for the grammar, or for the general evaluation of the meeting, so I was saying you're not supposed to leave the lectern unattended during the meeting, and I left and set up the coffee, so that was no Toastmasters, but that doesn't matter too much. But we try to, it's kind of a habit, because when you leave it unattended, there's no silence, nobody's standing there, and it doesn't look good when you're giving like roundtable presentation. I really enjoyed your overview of Toastmasters. Tom gave a little bit of history, why it's important. I learned a few things myself, being in the club for a few years now, so thank you for that. Lawrence, great speech. I think our guest here got to witness what being in Toastmasters can do for your public speaking skills and show some expert level speaking, so thanks again for that, Lawrence. And just overall great meeting. It's nice to see a big full house here and most of our members attended, so thank you everyone for attending. And that is the general evaluation of the meeting. I will now relinquish the lectern back to our Toastmaster, Tom.
Thank you, Cody. One of the things that I failed to mention, and I should have, in talking about the additional skills that you learn for the evaluation process, you learn how to listen. And that's an important part of communication. And each of those particular roles requires extra effort at listening. And I think it was performed excellently tonight by everybody. I'm very proud of you all. With that, that concludes the educational portion of the meeting. I'd like to turn the meeting back over now to the president, Cody Purcell. Cody?
Check out Diego's agenda. Meeting's changed a little bit. I believe it's just snacks, right?
Yeah, I think it's just mix and mingle.
And just coffee.
Yeah.
All right, so, yeah. Okay, yeah. So that ends the educational portion of the meeting. We typically have an educational overview during this part, but since it's an open house, we're going to skip that for tonight. Tom kind of gave us one as well with the history of Toastmasters and what the club can do. General educational overview is just you can pick a topic, maybe it's something in a Toastmasters magazine, and get up here and talk about it. So with that, we have a few scones left. They're not completely gone. We have some coffee back there. Feel free. Oh, Lawrence. Oh, yes. Well, looks like we have one guest left, so it's maybe survival of the. Oh, two guests. We do have two. Okay. So yeah, please write write your name on the back of.
I don't think he was here when you explained that in the beginning.
Yes.
You might want to mention to him what he's doing.
So we have the ability to give away one 6-month membership, and if your name is drawn, you'll be awarded that. So it's a $45 value,
Is Luke eligible to be a
join our
guest?
club.
Hmm?
Is Luke eligible to be a guest?
No,
Okay,
he's a reinstated member already.
Your name.
okay.
That's somebody.
Looking for a hat?
All right, Maurice, I'll let you draw.
Okay.
All right. Is it K-E-U? Okay.
So whenever someone looks at it's fine my name.
All right, so our winner for tonight is Kyler, so let's. You had a great table topic, so you fit right into the club, so. I'm not Maurice, how does it work? So we just, if he joins, then they'll reimburse us maybe for the international dues? We can figure out the details later, but let's get you
Yeah.
your email and stuff.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's great. And like I said, we have this room for another, about another 20 minutes. So feel free to stick around, socialize, and thank you everyone. It's been a great meeting.